When it comes to the most competitive routes between China and Japan, the Beijing to Osaka route is definitely one of them. There are a total of 7 airlines from both China and Japan fiercely competing on this route. Today we'll be experiencing a round trip from Beijing to Osaka with Juneyao Airlines. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been about 4 or 5 years since Beijing Daxing Airport was completed and put into operation, but today is actually my first time departing internationally from here. Could this be an indication that Daxing's international route development hasn't been going too well in the past 2 years? One of the most iconic features of Daxing Airport is the national flag hanging in the center. If you're an international traveler, you'll get a close-up view of it after passing through security. First, let's talk about this route. Currently, the airlines operating flights from Beijing to Osaka include Japan Airlines, All Nippon Airways, Air China, China Eastern, China Southern, Hainan Airlines, and of course, Juneyao Airlines, which we're taking today. It's truly intense. These airlines have saturated the Osaka route while expanding their international flights from Beijing. But this also shows that post-pandemic, the passenger flow between China and Japan is still considerable, and with so much competition, passengers are definitely the ones who benefit. For example, my round trip ticket this time, including taxes, was just over 2,000 yuan, which is quite a good deal. Before boarding, I strolled around the international departure area. There was a British Airways flight to London, a China Southern flight to London, another China Southern flight to Macau, and flights from China Eastern and Aeroflot to Moscow. There weren't many other international flights, highlighting that Daxing Airport still lacks in developing more international routes. We can see our plane being towed over its A320neo, just over 2 years old, which had just flown in from Shanghai headquarters this morning, ready to head to Osaka. Boarding started on time, and the cabin and crew of Juneyao Airlines are decked out in pink, giving a refreshing vibe for my first experience. A small pillow was provided on the seat. The legroom in economy class is average, but luckily the flight to Osaka only takes a bit over 3 hours, making it quite bearable. The cabin was almost full today, which made the boarding process take some time, and taxiing took quite a while too. The total flight time from Beijing Daxing to Osaka Kansai is 3 hours. We took off from Daxing Airport's runway 19 right, turned towards Langfang and headed in the direction of Tianjin, entered the Bohai Sea from Binhai New Area, passed over Weihai and Dalian, then entered Korea from Seichon, past Daejeon and left Korea. From Pohang to cross the Sea of Japan, we entered Japan from Matsu, crossed Okayama, and finally arrived at Osaka Bay and landed at Kansai Airport. After reaching cruising altitude, the flight attendants began serving meals. For those unfamiliar with Juneyao Airlines, let me clarify they are not a low-cost carrier but a full-service airline. Although the meal wasn't exceptional, they did provide one. When Daxing Airport was first completed, Juneyao Airlines actively applied for flight slots, and at one point they operated 2 daily round trips from Daxing to Hongqiao with a Boeing 787. However, for a long time, they only operated 1 round trip with inconvenient timings from Daxing to Pudong. After the pandemic, Daxing Airport's international route development lagged, and Juneyao seized the opportunity, applying for several international routes from Daxing. Their early routes included Osaka, Nagoya, and Jeju Island, which were highly needed in Beijing at that time, allowing them to fill a gap in the market. This level of market agility explains why Juneyao Airlines is one of the few profitable airlines in mainland China. Now they operate more international routes from Daxing than domestic ones. Before the descent, the flight attendants handed out Japan immigration cards. The awkward part was that most passengers didn't have pens, and the crew didn't provide any. I recommend that before you leave, you fill out the information online at the Visit Japan website. The QR code makes it much easier to pass through Japanese immigration than using the physical card. The weather in Osaka wasn't great today, with a thick cloud layer that obscured both the sea and ground views. After landing, I quickly passed through customs using the QR code and took the Nankai Electric Railway to head into the city. 2 days later, I returned here for my return flight. Since I only had the weekend in Osaka, I quickly visited Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara. On my way back, I specifically took the Nankai Limited Express train from Namba Station to Kansai Airport. The train's front design is quite unique, and with fewer stops, it offers a comfortable experience. I arrived early today, but Juneao's check-in counter wasn't open yet. There's no lounge in the 4th floor international departure area before security, but luckily there's a McDonald's in the domestic departure area downstairs where I could sit and do some work. After security, I headed to the boarding gate, and upon close inspection, I realized that today's return flight was the same plane as the one I took here, even with the same crew. The in-flight meal was also identical, clearly brought over from China without using any catering services in Japan. Overall, it's definitely a good thing that Juneyao Airlines can participate in the competition within Beijing's aviation market, offering travelers more choices. The ticket price for this flight was cheap, the round-trip timing was favorable, and while the meals were average, the overall service level didn't surprise me in any way. All in all, it's a recommended option, and even if you're unfamiliar with Juneyao Airlines, you won't go wrong choosing this flight. In the next video, we'll be flying in China Eastern Yunan's Boeing 787 business class to Kunming. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.